He got asked about Tulsi Gabbard. And the reporter, the journalist said, there are foreign allies who are very nervous about sharing intelligence with her. And he said, oh, I don't know. I'm surprised to hear it. I heard that for the first time the other day. I mean, I think she's a great American. I think she's got tremendous common sense. This woman with tremendous common sense, Tulsi Gabbard, went to Syria, met with Assad, legitimized him as a member of Congress, then came back here and advocated for him. You're telling me this woman went over there, came back and advocated for him, and she's got common sense? Our foreign allies are right to be nervous about sharing intelligence with her.
Well, she's a weird one because she has so many characteristics that you would think that everyone who's a progressive would want as a president. She is a veteran who twice served overseas, twice deployed. She's been a veteran for a long time Congresswoman. She's from Hawaii. She's Hawaiian. You would say she's a woman of color.
They say she's a woman of color.
She's a very articulate, rock-solid woman, and they've tried to find a bunch of dirt on her, and they can't. They don't know what to do.
Joy Behar just imploded on live TV. And no, it wasn't from hot flashes or botched Botox. Greg Gutfeld and Kat Tim tag-teamed her with more burns than a summer BBQ. By the end, the only thing left standing was her chair, and even that looked ashamed. So what sent Joy snapping like a breadstick at a carb-free brunch? Buckle up. This takedown was messier than her last punchline.
And we'll get to that. I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts, because recently on your show here...
I was just going to get to that.
Good. Helping you out.
You want me to ask you the question?
No, look, some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
It began like any other afternoon on a network clinging to the delusion of serious journalism. An over-caffeinated panel of aging hosts, nodding in synchronized self-importance, competing in Olympic-level outrage. Their collective wisdom floated by like parade balloons, big, loud, and full of hot air. As if their chatter could part the Red Sea, or at least convince viewers this was peak.
Yeah, did you watch the episode when Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said?
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, like, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, like, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read, like, a book.
And there's versions of it.
A murmur rippled through the courtroom, swelling like a tide. Then, without a word, all three sisters stood and left. The question hung in the silence. What was on that tape? And why, on the very day they came to support their father, did they turn away?
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
We're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing.
But this time, Karma had other plans. While Joy turned her set into a low-budget opera of fury, two forces were mobilizing across town: Greg Gutfeld and Kat Tim, masters of tactical trolling and deadpan annihilation. They crafted a takedown so lethal, the air in Joy's studio grew thick with dread before they'd even spoken a word.
Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why,
I mean,
this
you're
is
on
why I'm here.
Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary
that have
Clinton
nothing to
started
do
it,
with
and then
who
you
I
shot
am.
back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost. It's why I ran for Congress.
It wasn't just Sunny who cracked. Everyone at the table looked like someone had yelled fire in a room full of hairspray. Whoopi wore her classic, "I'm too old for this" expression. Joy Behar looked like she regretted every decision that led to this segment. And poor Sarah Haynes was giving her best impersonation of a confused ficus. But Sunny gave us Shakespearean levels of despair. She clutched her pearls so hard they may file a police report. Less talk show host, more tragic queen betrayed by the court jester. Only the jester had better arguments. Insiders say Whoopi was crushed by the relentless backlash. Imagine every word you say being dissected by millions worldwide. It's no surprise she needed an escape. But was her firing really about accountability, or was it a strategic move by The View to save face? The show has long walked a fine line between entertainment and journalism, often facing criticism.
She might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment of service.
This wasn't your usual talk show disagreement. No eye rolls and passive-aggressive chuckles. This was a live-action ideological car crash, and Sunny was driving with her eyes closed. Tim Dillon didn't just challenge her views. He exposed how fragile they were when removed from a studio audience that claps on command. You could almost hear the producers hitting the panic button behind the scenes. This was the TV equivalent of someone yelling, "Read a book," during a poetry slam, and being right. Sunny expected applause. Instead, she got facts, and worse, silence.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
It's not just about this one moment. It's about what this moment represents. Joy Behar epitomizes a certain breed of media figure, someone who conflates platform with power, volume with value, and applause with accuracy. These are the same people who clutch their pearls over memes and schedule emergency therapy sessions because someone dared to crack a joke. Greg and Kat expose it for what it is: performance art disguised as punditry. And the audience? They're exhausted. Tired of being shouted at by people who still think decibels equal credibility. Tired of tuning in for analysis and getting soap opera theatrics instead. Tired of hosts who treat passion as a substitute for knowledge. Then, Kim Porter, the twins' late mother, appeared on screen, her eyes hollow, her body limp. The courtroom gasped. Delilah's nails dug into Jesse's palm as they stared, their breaths shallow. The unspoken question coiled like smoke. Was her death, officially deemed pneumonia, really an accident? Or had she been silenced?
The View has to be, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's
dumb.
deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly.
Meanwhile, The View kept chugging along as if it existed in a consequence-free dimension, one where flippant remarks vanish into the ether like bad Twitter takes. But here's the thing. They weren't just gossiping about a celebrity's outfit or cracking a lazy joke about a pop star. They were making claims that actually impacted someone's livelihood and reputation. And for once, someone called their bluff. The lawsuit ripped back the curtain on how recklessly these platforms wield their influence. Enter Joe Rogan, patron saint of independent media skeptics, who turned the spotlight on the entire ecosystem. He pointed out how daytime TV shows like The View package outrage as entertainment, fact-free speculation as courage, and clapbacks as informed debate. Here's the kicker. Tim Dillon wasn't even on The View. That's right. He wasn't in the studio, wasn't on the panel. And still, from afar, he dragged Sunny and her high horse through the metaphorical mud like a lawn chair in a hurricane. He didn't just show up. He napalmed the cultural battlefield, middle-fingered the daytime drama machine, and reminded everyone what happens when unfiltered comedy collides with unexamined self-importance.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stopped looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, right. whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking about it.
Now the curtain is falling on a dying brand of daytime performance art. The old formula, outrage plus volume equals influence, is fizzling out like a stale sitcom rerun. Viewers want more, humor that lands, commentary that makes sense, sarcasm that doesn't scream. It stings. This wasn't a debate. It wasn't a feud. It wasn't even a confrontation. It was a vibe check. And Joy Behar flunked. In the end, Dillon didn't just clown the show. He did the Lord's work. Someone had to say it. Yelling doesn't make you right. And if your worldview is built on applause lines, facts will always hit like a wrecking ball. So let this be a reminder. If you're going to challenge a comic who weaponizes truth for a living, bring more than Twitter clout and talking points. Because once the facade cracks, not even a Harvard law degree can stop the ego from spilling onto the studio floor.
show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's just, it's a bizarre show.
Rogan's mockery came with a grin, but also with receipts. He highlighted how often daytime shows skate by on the flimsiest understanding of complex topics, only to act shocked when someone challenges their nonsense. For him, this lawsuit was long overdue. Tulsi's case wasn't a publicity stunt. It was a warning shot, one that might echo through every other studio with a comfy couch and a hot mic. The fallout? Oh, it's only just begun. Media insiders are already clutching their pearls and double-checking their liability waivers. Legal teams are binge-watching past episodes, auditing the oops moments. And Rogan? He's probably prepping another podcast titled Why Screaming on Daytime TV is Not a Legal Defense. This is where the popcorn upgrades to champagne. Because this lawsuit isn't just about Tulsi and a few daytime divas flinging half-baked takes. It's about blowing a hole through the paper-thin wall of media immunity. This isn't a guest host spat, but the scariest part for her camp. This wasn't a fluke, not a bad day, a bad segment, or an out-of-context clip. This is the new normal. The audience has moved on. The throne Joy once occupied with loud certainty is now just a spinning chair, creaking in an empty...
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in dragons.
On social media, the world erupted. Hashtag Kim Porter Truth trended, with users dissecting her final years. Hashtag Diddy Secret sparked theories. Were the freak-offs just parties, or something far more sinister? Hashtag Justice for Cassie hailed her bravery, but the focus shifted to Justin and Chance. Why did they stay? Asked one post. Guilt? Strategy? Or are they finally ready to burn it all down? The trial was no longer about a lawsuit. It was about legacy. Was Kim Porter's death truly pneumonia, or the cost of knowing too much? Were Diddy's freak-offs just hedonism, or proof of a system built on control? And most hauntingly, which of his children would turn on him next? As the courtroom emptied, one truth remained. The Combs family empire was built on secrets. Now the walls were crumbling. The broader message here is devastatingly simple. Smear campaigns aren't just background noise anymore. They're lawsuits waiting to happen. We've reached the point where saying something recklessly false on TV isn't just ethically gross, it's financially stupid. Especially when the person you're attacking keeps receipts, like a tax auditor, with a grudge. So yes, this lawsuit is cultural dynamite. It's turning the talk show table into a courtroom, the gossip segment into Exhibit A, and the coffee mug into a liability hazard. Because when platforms this loud decide to act this reckless, someone was bound to push back, and Tulsi Gabbard just made sure they heard it all the way in the green room. Her play wasn't just legal, it was symbolic. And Joe Rogan was more than happy to be the hype man for that message, mocking, dissecting, and dancing on The View's collapsing credibility, like a man who's been waiting for this moment since 2016. As for The View, they're stuck between a spin cycle and a subpoena. No witty segment can spin this into a feel-good story. No pop star guest appearance can distract from the court filings. And no amount of studio applause can drown out the sound of accountability knocking. Rogan celebrated it not as an isolated lawsuit, but as a cultural correction. And the best part? He didn't even have to raise his voice. He just laughed, pointed, and let the truth do its own damage. So here we are, Tulsi Gabbard filed the paperwork. Joe Rogan threw the popcorn. And The View? Well, they might want to view their legal options. Turns out, the real daytime drama isn't on TV anymore. It's in court.